press conference. Thanks for everybody that's here. Just real quick, by way of introduction, my name is Ivan Raiklen. As it applies to the relevancy of January 6th, my background, 25 years in the national security ecosystem, Green Beret intelligence officer, and then also constitutional attorney. So put that all together, I saw what happened in the 2020 election, and then subsequently downstream from that, the illegal certification that occurred without a quorum on January 6th, and understanding the reasons why everybody showed up. I started to investigate the government's role in participating in ensuring that there would be an entrapment and what I call the facilitated unlawful entry into the United States Capitol on January 6th, of which, like you said, and others that are here, were swept into that entire maelstrom process. So I've identified individual actors that are almost certainly involved in that facilitated entry, and it goes all the way to the top of the bicameral legislature that we have, based on the legal framework of the Capitol Police Board, our constitutional order. I've essentially identified who is involved, if you will. Now, how do we fix this? A lot of people have asked me, why don't I represent a particular J6 defendant here or there? This is, in my opinion, is not a judicial resolution. This is a political solution, because everyone that has been persecuted and then subsequently prosecuted has been in this position because of their political stance. And that initiates with the person that was judge, jury, executioner, and the political leader of the jurisdiction that held the joint session on January 6th, and that happens to be the Speaker of the House at the time, Nancy Pelosi, and individuals associated with her, her daughter Alexandra, which was literally from me to you inside the Capitol, documenting and potentially coordinating the facilitated unlawful entry, her son-in-law, Michael Voss, who was on the outside of the Capitol, and then also other actors potentially, such as the House Sergeant at Arms at the time, Paul Irving, and then at the time, the Deputy Capitol Police Chief of Intelligence and listen closely, and Interagency Coordination by the name of Yogananda Pittman, who was then elevated after January 6th. On January 8th, she was placed as the acting police chief of the Capitol Police. Here's what I suspect happened, that most of your attorneys and of the J6 defendants have not gone down this path, and this is where I've been focusing in on, at the political strategic level that originated in the House and the Capitol Police. If you're Yogananda Pittman, and you take all orders and directions from Nancy Pelosi, and you politically implement what they want to happen, what stops you from making a list of individuals that you want to politically target, take the CCTV footage, and only provide the Department of Justice the incriminating evidence? So, for example, the 1 to 4 or 10 seconds of the most inculpatory evidence on a particular defendant, and then remove all evidence of, say, for example, you trying to save someone's life, or to slow down or temper the situation. That is not being released. That is well within the purview of the U.S. Capitol Police Acting Chief Yogananda Pittman to do so. And based on my sourcing at the very highest levels, that is the culture that person was involved in, which doesn't make it a stretch to allege that probably happened. So by the time that the evidence and the criminal referral was sent from the Capitol Police over to the Department of Justice, you already had a manipulated, skewed system that guaranteed that by the time the DOJ and the FBI received the evidence, and the jury pool was already tainted through sometimes over a year of manipulated Dr. J6 cover-up committee content, you created the frame, you meaning Yogananda Pittman, Nancy Pelosi, and others, to ensure that the conviction rate would be 100% at the maximal level, even before you're hitting the DOJ. Most folks are looking at, oh, the DOJ is corrupt. I'm not saying they're not. But before it got there, the Capitol Police Chief, the General Counsel of the Capitol Police, were the ones that decided who to criminalize and how hard to criminalize them for the criminal referral to be done at the DOJ level, because it's a jurisdictional component here. And so those that were associated with the political opponent they hate the most, you noticed how they were the ones that were hit the hardest. For what? To deflect their seditious conspiracy and apply that to other organizations so that the entire media industrial censorship complex could focus in solely on that. So I'm going to close with this. How do we solve this? At the political level. And I'm going to speak into whoever camera is up here now. And if you can tag this individual, please do so, and tag me, because I'm going to personally send it to the following individuals because I have most of their contact information. So, how do we resolve this? If you understand the Capitol Police Board, we noticed that Kevin McCarthy wanted to release the video to Tucker Carlson. He unfortunately doesn't quite have the leverage to do so because he has pushback from Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Faux News headed up by Murdoch, and Paul Ryan. They're all pushing back. They even fired Tucker because he was going to dig down what I'm about to tell you about. Because he was going to air the former Capitol Police Chief's son's interview the following day, which would have started to lay out what I'm about to kind of explain how we get to it. So, Speaker McCarthy, your general counsel as a speaker, the House Sergeant at Arms, the U.S. Capitol Police Chief Manger, your general counsel, Tad DiBiase, need to do the following. You need to go back and review and reverse the criminal referrals that you transmitted over to the Department of Justice and immediately nullify them. Because guess what? That's what they did with Ray Epps, and that's what they did with everybody that the FBI initially put on the most wanted list. But guess what? When they contacted you, U.S. Capitol Police, you said something to the effect of, no, Ray Epps is good because he participated in our nice little coup. So now that we have a new speaker, we collectively need to apply the necessary court of public opinion pressure to make sure that he has the leverage of the people to pull back on these political persecutions. Some of these guys have been in there for a couple of years. They've already did their time, right? Even if they did some of these acts that are alleged. So, the way that the leverage is there for Kevin McCarthy, well, you have the power of the purse. Those sitting in the D.C. jail, he needs to coordinate with Jim Comer of the Oversight Committee that provides oversight over the District of Columbia. So, we're going to play ball here. Number one, D.C. does not get a budget from the federal government in 2024 until they release all the political prisoners. You guys good with that?
Yeah.
Play some hardball. Number two, the House Administration Committee, Subcommittee on Oversight, headed up by Congressman Barry Loudermilk. Sir, here's what you can do in your role as providing oversight over the Capitol Police Board. Hey, Tom Manger, who was appointed by and elected for being the new Capitol Police Chief after Yogananda Pittman, and he was offered that essentially, as my sources tell me, he became the Capitol Police Chief under the condition that he would not expose and go back and expose Yogananda Pittman. Well, how do we create leverage over him? I suspect in the following manner. House Oversight Subcommittee of House Admin provides oversight over the Capitol Police Board. With that and the power of the purse, how about we defund completely the Capitol Police Chief and anybody that is reticent in, as well as the General Counsel, that is not willing to pull back on all the criminal referrals that are still either pending or thinking about being sent over to the DOJ. We will absolutely defund you. That is a mechanism.
Yeah.
And I suspect this. Kevin McCarthy, if you don't want to play ball on that, I urge every single member of the House Freedom Caucus, particularly Scott Perry and the Real Team 6 members that never voted for Kevin McCarthy, to demand that he do this by the end of the week, next week. Otherwise, guess what? You guys heard of motion to vacate the chair?
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
And we need to demand those that have a spine within the House Freedom Caucus of the Real Team 6 members that I talk about, we need to urge, push, and let them know that the demand signal is now at its apex. Kevin McCarthy, you have the backing of the people to push for this. If you don't, you lose the backing, and we're going to call for your removal. Motion to vacate the chair. I'm gonna be followed by.